I was born in the shadows and I survived there. Trust was a luxury I couldn't afford, until the day someone left food without expecting anything in return. But that comes later. First, there was the alley. The long, narrow space between the brick buildings where the dumpsters lived and the rats came out after dark, and the concrete was always either too hot or too cold. Never just right. That's where my mother had us, me and my brothers and sister, in a cardboard box someone had thrown out, stained with something that smelled like rotten chemicals. She chose that spot because it was hidden, because the humans didn't come there much, because survival meant staying invisible. I don't remember much about my siblings. They were warm bodies in the dark, sounds, smells, competition for milk when our mother returned from her scavenging. One by one they disappeared, the run first, to stop moving one morning, cold and stiff. My mother dragged him out of the box and left him by the dumpster. Then my brother. I don't know what happened. He went with our mother one night and didn't come back. Then my sister. She got sick, coughed and wheezed and grew thin, even though our mother tried to keep her warm. And then it was just me and my mother, until the day she didn't come back either. I waited in the box. 1 day, 2 days, 3. My stomach hurt. My body felt weak. But some instinct told me, don't leave the box. The box is safe. Wait. On the 4th day, I was so hungry I couldn't wait anymore. I climbed out. The alley was huge, terrifying. I'd never been out of the box alone before. Everything was too big, too bright, too loud. But hunger is a powerful teacher. I found a puddle of something sticky near the dumpster and licked it. It tasted awful, but I licked it anyway. I found a dead bird, already partially eaten by something else. I ate what was left. I found a piece of bread, moldy and hard. I chewed it until my jaw ached, and I survived, day after day, week after week. I survived. I learned the rules of the wild quickly. Rule 1. Trust nothing and no one. Other cats were competition. They'd fight you for food, for territory, for the warm spot under the loading dock. Dogs were danger. Big ones, small ones didn't matter. They chased. They bit. They killed if they caught you. Humans were the most unpredictable. Some ignored you. Some threw things. Some made soft sounds and tried to grab you. And if they grabbed you, you never came back. Rule 2. Take what you can when you can. Food didn't wait. If you saw it, you took it. If you hesitated, someone else got it first. Sleep in shifts. Eat fast. Move constantly. Rule 3. Pain is inevitable. Endure it. The cut on my ear from a fight with a tom twice my size. The burn on my paw from stepping on something hot behind a restaurant. The ache in my belly that never fully went away no matter how much I ate. Pain was just part of being alive. You didn't complain. You didn't stop. You endured. I grew. Not big. I was always small, always scrawny. But strong in the ways that mattered. Fast. Smart. Suspicious. I learned every inch of my territory. The 3-block radius where I hunted and hid and fought for survival. I learned which dumpsters were emptied when which restaurants threw out the best scraps, which alleys had the fewest competitors. I learned to read humans from a distance. The ones who walked with purpose didn't notice cats. The ones who walked slow sometimes did. The ones who stopped and made kissing sounds were trying to trap you. I never got caught. Some cats did. They'd be there one day and gone the next, scooped up by humans with nets or boxes or quick hands. I didn't know where they went. Didn't care. All that mattered was that they were gone and I was still here. Still surviving. Still alone. Seasons changed. Cold came and made everything harder. Food was scarce. Water froze. I slept in a gap between 2 buildings where warm air leaked from vent, pressed against the brick, shivering through the nights. Some cats didn't make it through that winter. I'd find them in the morning. Stiff. Still. Gone. I kept moving. Kept hunting. Kept surviving. Because that's what you do. You survive. Even when it hurts. Even when you're tired. Even when some part of you, a part you don't have words for, wonders what the point is. You survive because the alternative is unthinkable. Then came the spring when everything changed. I was 2 years old, maybe 3. I didn't know. Time was measured in seasons, not numbers. I was hunting in the alley behind a row of shops when I smelled it. Food, not garbage food. Real food. Fresh. Meat. I followed the scent to a doorway I'd passed 100 times before, the back entrance to one of the shops. And there on the concrete step was a small bowl, filled with food. I approached carefully, checked for traps, looked for humans. Nothing. Just the bowl. I ate fast, standing, ready to run. It was the best thing I'd ever tasted. Soft, rich, actual meat, not scraps or rot. I finished it in seconds and then ran, hid under a dumpster 3 buildings away, and waited to see if I'd get sick. I didn't. The next day, the bowl was there again. Same spot, fresh food. I ate it and ran. This happened 7 days in a row. On the 8th day, I approached the bowl and the door opened. I bolted, but not before I saw her. A woman, old, gray hair, soft eyes. She didn't chase, didn't shout, just stood in the doorway and watched me run. The next day, the bowl was there again, and the day after, and the day after. Every morning, without fail, I started to expect it, to plan my route around it, to feel something strange when I approached, not quite excitement, not quite anticipation, but something. And slowly, very slowly, I started to arrive earlier, to linger longer, to watch the door. One morning, the door opened while I was eating. I stopped mid-bite, looked up. The woman stood there, holding a mug of something steaming. "Good morning," she said quietly. I didn't run. I don't know why. Every instinct screamed, "Run." But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, watching her. She sat down on the step, slowly, like she was trying not to scare me. She didn't reach for me, didn't make the kissing sounds. Just sat there, drinking from her mug, looking out the alley. After a long moment, I went back to eating, my heart pounding, my muscles tensed, ready to run, but eating. She spoke softly, not to me exactly, just talking. "I had a cat once," she said. "Long time ago. Orange tabby named Marmalade. He was a good boy, lived to be 17. I didn't understand the words, but the tone was not threatening. "You remind me of him," she continued. "Same suspicious look, same scarred ear. He was a fighter too." I finished eating. She still hadn't moved. "I'm going to call you Ash," she said, "because you're gray like ash, and because you look like you've been through fire." Ash, a name. I'd never had a name before. I was just me, the gray cat in the alley. But now Ash. I didn't run. I sat down, 3 feet from her, close enough to see her clearly, far enough to escape if needed. We sat like that for a while, her drinking her mug, me watching her, and then she stood slowly and went back inside. The door closed. I stayed there for a long time after, trying to understand what had just happened, trying to understand why I hadn't run, trying to understand the strange feeling in my chest, something that felt almost like safety. It became routine. Every morning, I'd come to the door. The bowl would be there. I'd eat. She'd come out, sit on the step, talk quietly. Sometimes she'd tell me about her day. Sometimes she'd tell me about Marmalade. Sometimes she'd just sit in silence. I learned to tolerate her presence, then to expect it, then to want it. One morning, she set the bowl down closer to where she sat. I hesitated, looked at her. She didn't move. I approached carefully, ate with her right there, inches away. Her hand rested on the step near me. I could have touched it if I'd leaned forward. I didn't, but I could have. And somehow, that felt significant. Winter came again, colder than the year before. Snow fell and covered everything in white that hurt my paws. I shivered in my spot by the vent, alone, hungry because the cold made hunting harder. One morning I came to her door and she was there, as always, but the bowl was different, bigger, more food, and next to it, a small blanket. "It's supposed to get down to 10 degrees tonight," she said. "I can't let you freeze out here." She stood and opened the door wider. "You can come in if you want," she said, "just for the night, just to be warm." I stared at the open door, into her space, into the unknown. Every instinct said no. Inside meant trapped. Inside meant vulnerable. Inside meant giving up control. But I was so cold, so tired. "I won't touch you," she promised. "I won't trap you. The door will stay unlocked. You can leave whenever you want." I looked at the blanket, at the food, at the warm light spilling from inside, and I made a choice. I stepped inside. The inside was overwhelming. Smells everywhere. Furniture. Strange objects. Warm air that felt almost too warm after the cold. I pressed against the wall, every muscle tense, ready to bolt. The woman moved slowly past me, giving me space. "This is the kitchen," she said quietly. "I've set up a spot for you over here." In the corner, the blanket folded into a nest, a bowl of water, the food bowl from outside, a small box with something grainy inside. "That's a litter box," she said, "for when you need to, well, you'll figure it out." She sat down at the table, far from me, not looking directly at me. "You can stay or go," she said. "It's up to you." I stayed by the wall for hours, watching, waiting for the trap, for the door to lock, for hands to reach for me. But nothing happened. She made herself food, ate, washed dishes, read something on a glowing rectangle, completely ignoring me. Eventually, exhaustion won. I crept to the blanket, circled it 3 times, lay down. It was soft, softer than anything I'd ever felt, and warm. I fell asleep despite every instinct telling me not to. When I woke, it was dark. The woman was gone. The door was still unlocked. I could see it from where I lay. I stood, stretched, walked to the door, pushed it with my paw. It opened. Cold air rushed in. I could leave, right now. Go back to the alley, back to the familiar, back to the wild. I looked back at the blanket, at the bowl of water, at the warm, quiet space, and I chose to stay just for one more night. One night became 2. 2 became a week. A week became a month. I learned the rhythms of the house. The woman, her name was Margaret. I learned from the people who called her on the glowing rectangle. Woke early, made coffee, fed me. Then she'd go to the front of the house where she ran some kind of shop. I explored while she was gone, carefully, every corner, every room, looking for dangers, finding none, just furniture and books and soft places to sit. I found a windowsill in the front room where the sun came through in the afternoon. I started sleeping there, warm, safe, watching the world outside through glass. Margaret never pushed, never tried to touch me without permission. She'd extend her hand sometimes slowly and wait. If I came forward and sniffed it, she'd gently scratch under my chin. If I backed away, she'd withdraw. No punishment, no frustration, just patience. I started to trust that, started to come to her, started to push my head against her hand, started to purr. I'd never purred before, didn't know I could make that sound. But when she scratched behind my ear in just the right spot, something in my chest vibrated, and the sound came out. She smiled. "There you are," she whispered. "There's the softness." I knew it was in there. I started sleeping on her bed, not next to her, not at first, at the foot, far enough to maintain distance, close enough to feel the warmth of another body. She didn't comment on it, just smiled when she woke up and found me there. "Good morning, Ash," she'd say. And I'd realize I was waiting for those words, that they meant something, that they meant I belonged. But there was a cost to this softness. I felt it every day. The wild in me, the part that had survived alone for so long, was dying, or not dying, changing. I didn't hunt anymore, didn't fight, didn't sleep with one eye open. I was becoming domesticated, tame, dependent. And some days, that terrified me. What if she stopped feeding me? What if she left? What if this warmth was temporary and I'd forgotten how to survive without it? I'd go to the door sometimes, stand there, look out the alley, remember what it felt like to be truly free, to owe nothing to anyone, to need nothing but my own strength. Margaret would watch me from across the room. "You can go if you want," she'd say quietly. "I won't stop you." And every time I turn around, walk back to the windowsill, choose her, choose this. But the choice got harder, not easier, because with every day, I had more to lose. It happened on a Tuesday. I was sleeping on the windowsill when I heard it. A sound I knew, a cat, in distress. I was up immediately, alert, every old instinct firing. Margaret was in the shop, dealing with a customer. I went to the back door, pawed at it. She didn't come. The sound came again, desperate. I knew that sound. A cat in a fight, losing. The door was locked, but the window next to it was cracked open for air. I'd never tried to go out that window, never wanted to. But now, I squeezed through, dropped to the ground, ran toward the sound. In the alley 3 buildings down, I found them. 2 large toms, and a smaller cat, young, maybe a year old, cornered against a wall, bleeding. The toms were circling, playing with her. I knew these cats. Had fought them before in my old life. Big, mean, territorial. The smart thing would be to leave. This wasn't my fight. The girl cat wasn't my kin. I had no reason to get involved. But I remembered being cornered, being alone, being certain I was going to die. And I remembered that no one came. No one helped. Because that's not how the wild works. But I wasn't fully wild anymore. Was I? I stepped into the alley, made the sound, the low, threatening growl. The toms turned, saw me. One of them, the bigger one, scarred and missing half an ear, hissed. "This is our territory," he said in the language of posture and sound. "Leave." I didn't leave. I stepped forward, putting myself between them and the girl. The toms attacked. I'd forgotten what fighting felt like. The pain, the speed, the absolute focus required to survive. Claws and teeth, dodging, striking, bleeding. I was smaller than them, weaker maybe after months of soft living, but I was faster, and I was angry. Angry at them for hurting something weak. Angry at the world for being so cruel. Angry at myself for forgetting this feeling. I fought like I was still that desperate kitten in the cardboard box. Fighting for every breath, every moment, every chance to survive. One tom retreated first, bleeding from his face, limping. The other fought longer, bit down on my shoulder. I yowled, twisted, raked my claws across his belly. He let go, hissed, and ran. I stood there, panting, bleeding, shaking. The girl cat was still against the wall, watching me. "Go," I told her. "Run." She did. And I was alone, in the alley, bleeding, victorious, free. I could stay here. I could go back to the wild. I'd just proven I still could. Still had it in me. Still belonged here. I looked toward Margaret's house, toward the warmth, the soft bed, the gentle hands, and I realized something. Fighting hadn't felt good. It had felt necessary, but not good. Not like coming home to a full bowl and a sunny window. Not like falling asleep to the sound of Margaret reading aloud. Not like waking up to "Good morning, Ash," and knowing it was meant for me. I limped back, squeezed through the window. Margaret was there. She'd heard the fight. She was waiting. "Oh, Ash," she breathed when she saw the blood. She didn't grab me, didn't panic, just moved slowly, getting supplies. "Let me help," she said gently. And I let her. For the first time, I let her clean my wounds, touch the hurt places, care for me. I didn't fight, didn't run, just sat there and accepted it. Accepted that I needed help. That needing help wasn't weakness. That choosing to be vulnerable was its own kind of strength. I healed. The wounds closed. The scabs fell away. But something in me had changed. I understood now what I'd been avoiding. The real choice wasn't between wild and tame. It was between safe and scared. Being wild had kept me alive, but it had also kept me alone, kept me hungry, kept me in constant fear. This Margaret's house, the soft bed, the full bowls, this was safe. But safety required trust, and trust meant vulnerability. And vulnerability meant that I could be hurt in new ways. Not just physically, but deeper. What if she died? What if she stopped wanting me? What if I became dependent and then lost this, and couldn't survive on my own anymore? These fears lived in me every day, made me stand by the door sometimes, made me consider running. But every time I chose to stay, because the alternative, going back to being alone, I couldn't do it anymore. I tasted something better, and I couldn't unknow it. Margaret got sick that winter, not badly, just a cold that made her cough and stay in bed for a few days. But I panicked. I'd never seen her weak before, never seen her need anything. I stayed on the bed with her, closer than I'd ever been, pressed against her side, purring, trying to give her warmth the way she'd given it to me. "You're taking care of me," she whispered, her voice rough. "Look at you, Ash. You're taking care of me." And I realized she was right. I wasn't just receiving anymore. I was giving, choosing to give, choosing to stay not because I needed her, but because she needed me. That was different. That was love. Spring came. I'd been with Margaret for a full year. She celebrated by buying me a toy, a feather on a string. I pretended not to care. But when she dragged it across the floor, something in me, the kitten part, the part that had never gotten to play, came alive. I pounced, chased, played, and she laughed. "There you are," she said. "There's the joy." I knew it was in there too. One morning, I went out the window, not to run away, just to explore, to check on the world outside, to see if I still recognized it. The alley was the same, still dirty, still dangerous, still full of cats surviving. But it wasn't home anymore. Home was the windowsill, the soft bed, the woman who said my name. I went back inside, and when Margaret saw me, she smiled. "You came back," she said, not surprised, just pleased. "I'll always come back," I wanted to tell her, but I couldn't speak her language. So I rubbed against her legs, purred, jumped onto the counter, and headbutted her hand. And she understood. "I know," she whispered. "I love you too." 2 more years passed. I was 5 now, maybe 6, older, calmer. I slept more, played less, but I was content, truly content. Margaret was older too, moved slower. Her hands shook sometimes when she poured my food, but she was there, every morning, every night, constant. One morning, I was on the windowsill when I saw her, the young cat from the alley, the one I'd saved. She was thin, limping, pregnant. She came to the back door, looked up at me through the glass. Desperate, I jumped down, went to Margaret, meowed, not my usual quiet sound, loud, insistent. "What is it, Ash?" I went to the door, meowed again. She followed me, looked out, saw the cat. "Oh," she breathed. "Oh, sweetheart." She opened the door, put down food. The young cat ate frantically. Margaret watched, then looked at me. Should we let her in? I looked at the cat, at her swollen belly, at her fear. I remembered being her, desperate, alone, certain the world was cruel. I meowed, soft, permission. Margaret opened the door wider. "Come on," she said gently. "Come inside." The cat hesitated, looked at me. I walked to the blanket in the corner, the one that had been mine, lay down next to it, making space, showing her it's safe. She came in, slowly, trembling, and I stayed with her while she ate, while she drank, while she finally relaxed enough to sleep. Margaret watched us both, tears in her eyes. "You're teaching her," she whispered. "You're teaching her that the world can be kind." And I understood. This was the gift. Not just receiving love, but passing it on, showing another scared, broken thing that softness exists, that trust is possible, that choosing vulnerability over survival, choosing connection over safety, isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. The young cat, Margaret named her Ember, had her kittens in the house. 4 of them, tiny, mewing. Perfect. I watched from a distance at first. Not my kittens, not my problem. But Ember was exhausted. She needed to eat, to drink, to rest. And the kittens needed watching. So I did. I lay in a box, guarded them while Ember slept, purred when they mewed, became, without planning it, something like a father, or a protector, or just family. Margaret watched all of this with wonder. "You were so wild," she said one day, "so determined to be alone. And now, look at you. You chose this. You chose us." She was right. I did. Every day I chose to stay, to trust, to love, even though it cost me my armor, even though it made me soft, even though it meant I could be hurt. I chose it because the alternative, being safe but alone, wasn't living. It was just surviving, and I'd done that long enough. I'm old now. 10 years, Margaret thinks. Maybe more. My joints ache. My hearing isn't what it was. I sleep most of the day, but I'm content. The house is fuller now. Ember and 2 of her kittens stayed. The others were adopted. We coexist peacefully. A small colony, a family. Margaret is old too. Her hair is white now, her steps slow, but her hands are still gentle when she pets me. Her voice still soft when she says my name. I spent my days on the windowsill, watching the alley where I was born, where I survived, where I learned that the world was cruel. But from here, through the glass in the warmth, surrounded by love, the alley looks different, smaller, less frightening. Just a place. Not a prison. Not a battleground. Just the place I used to be before I chose something better. Sometimes I see cats out there, still fighting, still hungry, still alone. And I want to tell them, it doesn't have to be this way. There's another option. It's scary. It requires giving up control, letting someone care for you, trusting that the hand reaching for you won't hurt. But it's worth it. I'm proof. I was wild, fierce, independent, and I chose to be soft, chose to be loved. And it didn't make me weak. It made me whole. Margaret sits beside me on the sill. Her hand rests on my back. You saved me, she says quietly. After Marmalade died, I was so lonely. And then you showed up, fierce and broken and refusing to trust. And you taught me that love isn't something you demand. It's something you earn, something you wait for, something you choose. I press my head against her hand. And in this moment, warm, fed, safe, loved, surrounded by family, I understand what freedom really is. It's not the absence of bonds. It's choosing which bonds to accept. It's not refusing all help. It's choosing who to trust. It's not surviving alone. It's living together. And I choose this. Every day, for the rest of my life. I choose this.